change. Why would you say that? That we're gonna change our intro? Absolutely not.
I didn't say that.
Jonathan, you were just like, when are we gonna change it?
I said, are we ever going to change our
The answer
intro?
is no. It's a sick intro.
I didn't say it wasn't. I was just asking.
Oh, okay.
We might change it.
What? Why?
What? I don't know.
Okay.
As we evolve, dude.
Evolution.
People love our intro.
Do you fuck with the war?
This bitch didn't know about Pangea. Fucking love that.
That was
shit.
very fulfilling. That was
Brain's
good
gotta
one.
poop.
That was good.
I feel fulfilled when I eat food
At the buffet.
because I feel full.
Yeah, at the buffet. Because you go for
I'm
quality.
sorry, guys.
Quantity, not quality.
I feel like the podcast people, even if we do have recurring listeners at this point, I hope we do. We love you. But they don't know my dad jokes yet. I haven't exposed that
No.
too much on the pod yet. So
No, you have not.
they're getting some taste. They're getting some taste.
Okay.
I don't know. It's hot in this room.
What's your go-to dad joke? You got one. Right. What is it? Let them know. Let them start to get a
your
feel.
party that joke. The one that you come up
The one that you use at work?
I don't remember.
I don't know why it's the most memorable one. I have a couple, and I actually had a couple I wanted to tell you guys today. but I
Mine is
forgot
Snoop Dogg. You go.
No, it's the stupid one. I had a dream that I was a muffler, and I woke up exhausted.
Yeah.
It's a good one, dude.
Give me some claps, Ty. Give me some claps. Hey, thank you.
The one I use at work is why does Snoop Dogg carry an umbrella? Photo drizzle, baby.
Dude, I was gonna get there. That's good. That's good.
Johnny, you got a
guys
dad joke at
anything?
work? Or Ken? Wait. Let's ask Ty. Does Kenny have a joke for work in the morning meeting? I'm going to say no. It's probably serious.
I don't have a fucking, no, I don't have a joke. Do I ever come out with a joke time? I mean,
Not to my memory.
Ever cracked a joke in a meeting, or are you just like? "Ugh"?
I'm sure I have. I say things that are funny sometimes. I don't know. Ty, do I say things that are funny sometimes?
Yeah.
Ty,
Yeah.
be honest. Do people laugh because Kenny made a joke and he's the boss?
I don't. I won't laugh if it's not funny.
Attaboy.
Ty, I
Attaboy.
respect you.
Nah.
You're
There's
respectable.
things I say that are funny, but it has to be with good timing. I'm precise.
Okay.
Sometimes
What do you got to say, Johnny?
You know Johnny's got something.
What genre are national anthems? Country.
Oh,
God damn it.
That's good.
Okay. That went well done.
How do you get a country girl to marry you? A tractor.
I heard one this morning.
Tomato.
I heard one this morning. It was a grasshopper walks into the bar, and the bartender goes, "Hey, we got a drink named after you." And he goes, "Really? You have a drink named Steve?" That's it. That's the joke. It's funny
It's so stupid.
because I think there's actually
That's like- there's another-
grasshopper as a drink. I think.
There's another joke like that, and it's like a guy walked into a bar. Ouch.
Oh yeah. That's good. I remember a homeless person did that to a couple of girls, and they're like, "I don't get it. What happened?" And he was like, "That's the fucking joke." Or actually, I think it was a blonde girl walked into a bar. Like he was trying to make a blonde joke, that kind of thing. But anyways, it's good.
That's the stuff we like key in on. Like long work days, the little things that just keep you going.
It makes work fun if you can laugh and joke and have fun and build those relationships, right?
Yeah.
Because it can get stressful at work.
Always. Very stressful. But you know what? I've been trying to pull it back a little bit and try and not getting as stressed or taking like I take things serious most of the time. Like I feel like that's my middle ground is like just seriousness. So I have to figure out how to like either take things not.
I thought that
as
was your
serious.
only ground.
Well, that would be
'Cause you're
like,
Batman.
Equilibrium would be there, and then to try to like figure out how to take things more lightly, or deviate from that a little bit. But it's hard. It's difficult to do. There's also the people that take nothing serious, which is also a very bad thing.
They're
Yeah.
called comedians.
No, that's not true.
Talk about someone that enjoys their job, though.
Not all of them. They get stressed. They
They
get
get-
put on
yeah,
fucking.
recently
They
they're
get put on
starting
the
to get
heater.
shit on.
Yeah, they get in
Just
trouble.
comedians, like it's
In a world where you have
You
to
know
watch
what?
what
It's
you
such-
say, they
it's
have to
such-
start watching what
like-
they say.
That's such
which-
bullshit. If you go to a comedy show, like
I agree,
you're there
but-
to hear a joke.
It's a transaction. You want they
It's
want attention, and you want to laugh.
If you're gonna get
So-
offended, don't go to a fucking comedy show.
I agree to that, but The problem is that it's not a societal like norm for them to be able to just freely say what they want to say and people accept it. Especially with like Netflix, right? I mean, like, look, if you tune into the thing and you don't like what they say, that's your fucking fault.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's not their fault, but it causes problems for them. So there still is a fair play like realm. I don't know what it is, but there is a fair play active speech that they have to stay within.
Yeah.
Which is weird because it's like it's fucking comedian.
It's tough. They're trying to do what they love, and then just people just taking them down with them.
I agree.
You know?
They should be able to say whatever they want, though.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's like,
I feel like, I mean, on the
it's funny,
comedian
it's funny.
side, what probably happened is now we have new mediums to share their comedy, where before it was like you went to a comedy show and that's where you consumed comedy. Now it's everywhere. And so people are trashing it because they're seeing it on YouTube, they're seeing it on Netflix, they're seeing it everywhere else. Granted, that's also now a way for people to blow up because now they have the ability to get the exposure. They're not just trying to tour around and become a big name because people have seen them blow, and, you know, do huge stadiums and all that stuff. But again, it comes with that factor of now everyone sees your fucking material.
I wonder if it's harder because then people, when you're at an early stage and people don't know who you are and you're saying something funny to a crowd, right? The actual environment when you're committing to the content, it's okay. But then someone sees like 15 seconds short of that on social and then they take it from a perspective without knowing the full story or the full way that content was distributed. And it's like, well, who the heck is this guy? And why should he be saying this? Or how is he have an opinion on this? Or even like, I feel like it can be portrayed so incorrectly. And that gets them like kind of stuck with like these negative connotations.
They get in there and they start commenting because, oh, what the hell is this? I don't know.
Because they know the full story though.
Right.
Which happens outside of just comedy, but
I think they're also jealous because this person's getting to do something that they fucking love to do, and they probably have a shit fucking job that they're not happy with.
well, I think that leads us to the next question is like, if you're in a position where you're not happy with it, that's your fault, right? And then you have to do something about that. And the only person that can do something about that is you. But what do you do about that? How do you gain fulfillment out of the job that you have? And how do you gain fulfillment?
You got to go find it, man. Like you said, it's all on you. It's all on your mentality. You have to make a decision, right, of how you're going to attack that day, how you're going to attack that job, how you're going to attack that role, if you want to stay there, if you want to leave. But it all goes back to that individual. No one's going to do it for you. It's a mentality. And we keep coming back to mentality on these different episodes, you know, in different forms or fashion. Some of it's relatable, some of it's not. But it starts with you, the individual. It has to.
If you see someone here at this position, let's just say they're in the same line of work. For this example, they're in the same line of work, and you see this person here, and most likely this person up here is in some type of, let's just call it a celebrity status for that position. But you're here maybe because, well, one, you're not in that celebrity status, but maybe because you're early in your career or you just haven't gotten there. Where's the gap? And then how do you get there? Like, what do you have to do to get to that position that you're admiring? And do you think it's going to be provide the fulfillment that you want?
When you get there?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that like a question about life, right? Like you think you want these nice things, and then when you actually get them, like, does it actually make you happy? Or was it the relationships that you built along the way? Or was it the journey of getting there? Was it the grind that you had to embrace in order to put yourself? And then the reward is actually the reward of finally getting there, right? It's, I did this, right? Like, I busted my ass. That's actually what's more fulfilling than anything else.
Yeah.
That's what, you know, everyone talks about these days. Is it gets you the most dopamine release out of all the things, because you fucking busting your ass, and then dopamine, man, it's dope. Dopamine's dope. Endorphins. People who work out don't kill their husbands. That's from oh my god, what's the movie now?
I don't know, but I knew that was from a movie.
Legally Blonde.
I just don't think Brooke could have done this. Exercise gives you endorphins. Endorphins make you happy. Happy people just don't shoot their husbands. They just don't.
Yes.
Legally Blonde, sorry. There's more to it. It's about endorphins. It's about endorphins. But anyways, I lost my train of thought. You guys pick it up.
Going back to Kenny's little illustration there with all the arms.
How do you get there was the question.
Yeah, but I have a question with COVID and remote the last 4 years. I feel like that's been lost a little bit with all the whole work from home. You don't see that as much. all you see is you wake up, you log in probably from your bedroom or your kitchen, whatever. You don't see, you're not as opened up to those individuals that are in that position that you want to get to. You can do that by being targeted with your approach, but the average Joe Schmo just doesn't. All you know is you basically wake up and do it from your laptop. So I feel like that maybe plays a role as well, versus when you have an in-office presence.
That gets me
know.
thinking. And I just saw a comment by, I believe, the L'Oreal CEO.
Shampoo, that one, L'Oreal.
L'Oreal, yeah.
Okay.
Hair products.
Massive company. You know,
Yeah.
massive business. I believe it was L'Oreal. And he said that people that are working remote lack passion, lack commitment, and lack the drive. So, okay, if we know that, if they lack the emotional output that mirrors those who are in a higher status, is that the key? Do you need to be fulfilled? Do you need to have the emotional...
The human touch.
Well, human touch, yes, but if that's how you get it, you need to have the emotional aspects that tie you with the position at a higher level. Do you need to have more passion? Do you need to have more drive? Do you need to have more motivation?
Passion drives excellence.
Do you need to have all of these different building block foundational characteristics and emotions in order to get you to the fulfillment and the hierarchy of the position that you're seeking?
You know, it's interesting. I'm going to go back on when I first started at my company, because you talked about how do you get there, right? How do you talk to that person, you ask questions. When I started at my firm, I was like, in 5 years, I want to be sitting in that seat, right? I want to go be in that position, visualized it, inquired with individuals of how they got there, what's their journey. So I'm going to say yes to that question, is being able to visualize it and see it and then go execute on it. That at least helped me. And I was able to do that. I don't know. It's different for you with starting your own company, but you two would love to hear.
I think it's all circumstantial, right? I think you have to also understand what that individual is trying to accomplish in their goals and in their career. So if that person is just trying to be an independent contributor and that's all they want, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
No, there's not.
There's a lot of people who are independent contributors, and depending on their profession and what they do, are very, very successful, can make a lot of money, and can impact a lot of other individuals. So I think in the scheme of, like, when you look at remote or trying to target a specific, let's just call it as it is, a title or area where you can grow within an organization, I think that's the first step in stone of understanding what it is that person actually wants. And then future, it's like that could change every other year. Like you can decide, hey, this is an area where I don't want to go, or this is a career that I'm not passionate about, or I thought I wanted to do this, but it's really not something I want to do. And I think that's something where with the remote piece, and the only reason why I bring up the remote piece, like I always kind of teeter-totted on, like, you have to grow or to get your visualization and goals out there, you have to be part of an environment that's welcoming and that has an in-house presence. Some of the largest hubs in technology, something I'm very passionate about, something I'm in, they've figured out the recipe by working remote. So I think, for instance, I have a very close friend who is very high up at Meta. And the reason why she got there was she wasn't able to maybe tap on her boss's, door, getting a calendar invite in that individual's calendar. Hey, can I have 15 minutes of your time? I want to vocalize where I want to be in the opportunity. I want to understand what you did, or what is something I must do in order to get to the next opportunity, to grow, and maybe 5 to 7 years I'm sitting in your chair. Right. So I think it's all circumstantial, because what I found in profession, it's like some people just don't want to grow. Some people don't want to be at that level. Some people don't want to be a manager. Some people don't want to do any of that because it's a lot of headaches. And you're cleaning up the mess of other things. And at the end of the day, you're the one that's facing the most pressure, because you gotta answer for the people who are reporting to you potentially. But when shit goes wrong, it's usually on you, because your boss is going to you and asking what happened. Why did you miss your deadline?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. The pressure mounts as your career escalates, I think, or as the title of your role continues to escalate. Yeah. It's a difficult thing to deal with.
Yeah.
And where I think it's interesting is, like, I think that some people don't escalate in those roles specifically because they're not ready.
I agree.
for the obligation or for the, and it's not because of them. I think it's because of just like, I think there's external factors. This is going to sound weird, but I think that the world hasn't aligned and it just has not allowed them to position themselves correctly because the world knows, not everybody like in the world, but like the energy and the circumstances do not align correctly to put the person in that position specifically because they're not prepared to handle that. Now, some people are able to jump that based off of just being in the right place at the right time, but others...
Fake it till you make it.
But others... that's kind of... But others, I think that they get into that position just like over time. That's why it takes time to escalate in your career. It's not like no one just like starts off, graduates college and is like, oh, I'm the CMO or I'm the CFO. Like that would be like really fucking bad in many circumstances.
I could be far-fetched here. I want to get your guys' thoughts. I feel like those who are in leadership sometimes have a knack for identifying the potential of those that are maybe trying to get or don't believe in themselves. So when I say that, I know a lot of leaders and a lot of mentors and a lot of great people I've worked with who are really able to identify those who had the potential to have the ability to maybe run a high-performing team, maybe even before that individual even knew it. So I say that because I'm curious, like, you guys are all in leadership. You guys all manage people. Do you feel like, hey, this is the person that I think could maybe be in a different chair X amount of time from now? Or if I knew, you know, when I'm out of office, I want this person to help me out. Not so much that. I'm talking like, hey, if this person could only understand how much potential they have, and maybe they don't necessarily believe it right now, future sake, this is a person that could be groomed to do that role. We
call them emerging leaders.
Oh, that's a good title. Kind of what we call them.
Rising stars, other way to put it too.
Yeah.
I think I can see it for sure, and it's not always in my department either too. Like I can see it in other departments.
Yes.
When I get to work with some people that may not be top of their department, and I realize this person could go places if they have the right people around them, or if they try to do this, that, and the other, X, Y, Z. I think the reason why I could see it is because I was lucky enough to be one of those people where they saw me as an emerging leader. So I think that helps you with perspective.
Yes.
So, some people can get there, though, and just be completely blind and just think ego can get in the way.
For sure.
So, but I guess my answer is yes to your question, sir.
Yeah, I think that over time and working with people long enough, you can find what qualities and characteristics in a person allow them to be a better performer at a specific role. I think that if you're an HR person and you don't have patience as a person, I think that'd be a difficult thing to deal with, right? So there's certain characteristics and
right
traits.
people, right seats.
Yeah, there's a certain characteristic and trait that aligns with a role. And I think that managers understand what characters and traits, for the most part, managers do, right? Like you would expect that they do. Understand the characteristics and traits that match up with a role specifically to best help them perform. And I think that's what they're good at, or they should be good at. But I think that comes with experience.
I do too.
Of working with people.
I think also as a rising star, emerging leader, one thing I always heard was you can't teach experience. You can't fast track it. Sometimes you just need to have that time in role to go through those different trials and tribulations to, like, you can't manifest them or manufacture it. You just have to be in role to be able to go through that. I also think from a fulfillment standpoint, I think a lot of us have said we aren't here today without our mentors, those individuals that help move us along. And it gives us even more reason to want to give back or to identify those individuals that were in our shoes 5-7 years ago. And I think that, like James said, that also helps us. It gives us the ability to notice it and then move them along as well, just like people helped us.
Well, so to that point, though, I think that's helped most of us have that sense of fulfillment.
Right.
I'd be curious for those that maybe haven't had that type of mentorship or leadership, or those people in their corner pushing, them. Like, are those individuals the ones that are maybe struggling with fulfillment in what they're bringing, what their career is? Do they even know any better?
That's a great point.
I
don't know.
Because
now, just giving it a different spin on this topic, right? Like you're talking about from the management perspective, which I know we gravitate towards a lot because that's what we are essentially, right? Like, and then if you try to break it down though, and look back, reflect a little bit. When you want to go into the workforce, you want to find something that you're going to have interest in, whatever, right? And so it's a hard question. It's like, what do you want to do with your life? And it's hard. And sometimes you just land somewhere, and it can either be 20 years later and you're caged by your job and hate your life, or I don't know if it's a mindset thing or whatever, but you end up finding out that you love this. Maybe you find out a little later that you're not loving it anymore, so you need to change. I don't know, but it's like, how do you try to find a career that you're going to end up enjoying? Or do you take on the opportunity that presents itself and then try to make that fulfilling? Which approach do you think you guys took as you guys went into the workforce? Did you evaluate?
That's a great point. It's a great thing to bring up. It's tricky, right? Because what I don't know if I necessarily have the answer right now. I'm going to think through this. But one thing that you stood out, it's like 10 years later, are you miserable in your job?
Yeah.
I feel like people get caught in that trap because they're afraid to make a change.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
afraid to do something different.
Yep.
And you get comfortable.
Scary.
And next thing you know, 10 years later. And like that's something that, dude, the fact that we've been in the workforce and we're doing what we're doing that long
this was a leap.
Is nuts.
This right here?
Like this
You're
right
This-
here.
this right here's
is-
leaps.
Yes, for sure.
This guy knows all about leaps too.
So I
he
don't know.
does.
I don't know, man. I'm thinking.
Because it's interesting, right? 3 of us got our first job, and we have been with that job since.
We have not left. Yeah.
Kenny, the one outlier,
Mr. Biology.
started at a job. Wasn't a bad job. Good. But fucking, I'm going to go start my own thing.
You've
Leap. Young.
radiated. How many different organizations to stood
Different-
to where you're at now? Companies.
Different iterations of the same company, too.
Yeah, different iterations of the same company. I didn't like start off knowing that I wanted to start something myself. That just came about after, honestly, after failure. Like, so how I entered like more of an entrepreneurial journey was, we know that I went to college for biology.
Yeah. Talk about pivot from
So I
that.
studied pre-med, minor in finance. Had an opportunity to do wealth management. I decided to take on that role because I knew that I could lean on my pre-med degree, which wasn't going to go anywhere, reapply to medical programs if I didn't take a year to investigate, like if I did like the financial world. You know, someone asked me a question in senior year, and they're like, well, why do you want to become, at the time I was thinking of anesthesiology, and I was like, well, you know, high earner, medical career, affluent position within the medical community. And it really wasn't the right answer. Like if you're in a medical position and you are seeking a financial return from that, you're doing a lot and you're really investing yourself a lot. You know, and we just talked about
It's a long play.
We talked about this last night. Like at 30, I would probably just be able to start really exploring the career after undergraduate, after medical school, after residency, and then now you're talking about maybe just exploring things at 30 years old.
Yeah.
So
With a lot of debt on your shoulder.
and that's the other thing we talked about, with hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt on your shoulders. So I didn't really know that I was going to explore that, and I fell into that after kind of failing a little bit in the financial world, going through different regulations and different policies that changed my position. Then I ended up taking a test that I didn't pass, which led to me going to another firm at the same time, starting this. I had no money. I took some money from, I sold my car to pay rent. That sucked. After that, I borrowed a couple $100 from my dad. There was an option to pay for a course over the period of 3 months, opposed to paying for one time up front, which was like $1,000. Or you can do $1,000 one time, or pay like $300 for 3 months or something like that. I took the $300. I went on the course, paid for the first month, and in a week I consumed all of the content. They didn't like lock the content, so I just did all of it. I literally took all of the stuff, and then after a month I just canceled it. So I consumed all of the content that you were supposed to consume in 1 month, or for the lifetime value of it in 1 month, and I only paid $300 for all of it. Now there was things that dropped in later after that, but that I didn't get to consume. But I was beyond that. I didn't have time to go and sell and things like that. Like I didn't have time to wait because I had to generate income. So after I consumed all of that content and kind of understood a little bit of an angle, which at this point was very minimal, then what I did was I just went to knock on doors, which was so difficult because no one ever told me how to go door knocking business to business, and that was excessively stressful and very, very morally like demeaning. Like it just like people would just not be willing to talk to you. People were mean, you know, it was the whole nine. So it was a very, very big self-confidence voyage. Like self-esteem was at a low point. I ended up getting my first contract, which was for $500, which I have a picture of in my office today. And it was for $500. There was a jewelry store that was advertising on Yelp. And I was like, hey, Yelp is not the platform for you. I don't think that the consumers looking to purchase jewelry are going to be on Yelp. I think that the consumers are going to be in other places like Facebook and Instagram. We ran Facebook ads. That gave me $500, which at the time was like, a fucking gold mine. So then, and that was on my birthday. I was door knocking, and I just landed a client. And he signed up there, and I think he just signed up because he just liked me. He said I reminded him of his son. Straight up. And I was like, okay, whatever it takes, man. Like, sure. And then I did that. I worked with them for as long as I could, and that lasted a while. And then they ended up moving to a different location, which was pretty far. And we worked with them for a while, and they established their brand, and it was a great thing. And at the same time, I was just kind of going to knock on more doors and more doors. And then it just evolved to, needing help. And it was a difficult voyage. I mean, it was very, very difficult. And I would say the hardest part of it was you never really had anything dependable or secure. You didn't know like when your next paycheck was coming. So that was difficult. And at the same time, you're learning more. So you're advancing your knowledge. You're advancing all of the services that you are obligated to help with fulfilling for clients. And then at one time, I sold a contract that involved a little bit more than what I could handle. I thought I was going to outsource it, which led me to merge with another company that focused on just those things. We merged, and then that went around for about a year. I learned a lot about partnerships, which I got. I can talk a lot on. I got ran through the loop on a little bit. I learned about people a lot in that year. I learned about just really understanding who you get in business with and who you get in bed with in business. That was a difficult thing to deal with. And I kind of just learned a lot in that process, which then I outgrew. And then I started the company that I own now, which was just a different iteration of that. At that point, I had a team member that was kind of part-time. And then I moved into space, which was like probably 2019, 2020, like right before COVID happened, probably 2019. And then we started to work with clients more. I was selling a lot more, again, continuing to advance our fulfillment services, and then COVID hit, which changed the world. And when that rocked everything in the space that I was in, it was a little bit difficult because there was a lot of unknown, because no one had an answer, because COVID was so different for our generation and so unique to the circumstances we were in. I tried something with a client that worked really well, and then we continued to lean into it. And honestly, my business grew a lot with referral-based business based off of results. When you're small, you can only concentrate on a lot of things. I decided to concentrate more on fulfillment and service and the obligation that I sold to clients. And I didn't really lean into sales as much, which every business is different. Do you concentrate on fulfillment or do you concentrate on sales and growth? I concentrated on long-term relationships and fulfillment, and I think that it's led to stronger relationships with the clients that have led to more referrals. So to this day, referrals are a great source of business for us. But through all of that, a lot of it's unknown. That's why, like, for me, risk is like whatever. Like, risk is just a factor of, like, put on a balance scale. Like, if I risk this, what's my potential reward? And then sometimes it's like it's very forward thinking, delayed gratification, and you just have to be willing to just eat dirt for a little while on that. And I think that's where people stand still, their risk. And if they don't feel comfortable with the risk, I think they don't do anything. And they don't make a decision, and then the opportunity passes. Just do it. Fuck it. Like I just say, sometimes I do things just like, fuck it. Like, straight up, fuck it. And I do it. And then I'm like, great, fucking worked. But if you do something, you have to do it with everything you got. You can't half do something. And I've half done shit, and then I've learned that too. Like, if you do something, you have to fucking do it. And if you take the risk on it too, and if it's a real big risk, then you can't half do that, because then it's not going to work. That's another problem that a lot of people face. So, I think you have to have kind of a fuck it mentality. I think you have to also do things with everything you got. You got to put your everything into it. And if you do that, and you do it well enough, then that's where you can have success. And then on the last point of it, I think that you can't spread yourself too thin. Once you start having some traction, don't jump to the next thing. Like, it's very easy. People will start to come to you with ideas. And I get that a lot. People will come to you with ideas, and they want to get in business with you, and they want to do things. And it's really difficult to deal with, because you're like, wow, this is a great idea, great opportunity. But you have to look at it and say, like, is this something I want to do? Is this something that I see myself doing for 10 years? And is this something that I see that I'm going to get a financial return on, if that's the return you're looking for? It's just a measurable thing for me that I look at. But that's something that can really clout your growth as a whole, is taking on too many things at once, which then deviates you too much, spreads yourself too thin, and you become almost useless at that point. So this whole thing with, like, millionaires have seven alleys of income that drive to their success towards revenue, might be so. But I also think that when you look at those 7 avenues of growth, they're probably closely fit to the main niche, right? They add a service, which is technically a different revenue of growth. They add a very ancillary portion of their business, which is a very, very fit to their current operating structure. And it doesn't deviate them too far. No one's going to go from, like, fishing to then, like, like some crazy thing that's
Makeup
completely
products.
different. Yeah, like makeup, exactly. Like, it's going to go from fishing to saying, like, okay, well, if I am a fisherman and I do really good at this, maybe I could record myself and grow content around it. Now I'm a content creator. I'm also fishing, but I'm generating income on both realms. They're doing their main thing, but they're also generating income in 2 different formats. So they're adding something very ancillary to what they're already doing that doesn't deviate them from their main objective. And that's one thing that fucks a lot of people up too. So it's been a really crazy voyage, and I feel like I'm just getting started. But what I've learned is it takes time. I mean, the partnership thing took a year and change for me to learn. The whole diversification of businesses, that took a year and a half to learn. You're 3 years in, And we started this after we graduated college, so you're almost 2-3 years ago. Now I'm looking at driving towards the same goal. So it's really difficult. But you just have to know what you're after. Yeah. It's tough. But risk is a good thing. Could be willing.
I didn't know you sold your car like that.
Yeah.
For business. So that was, wow.
Yeah, it sucked.
Thanks for sharing that, man. That hit me differently.
Yeah.
I ain't even gonna
I
fucking
remember
lie.
I was an idiot too, and I fucking had a job doing the wealth management. I got a really good deal, but I got 2 Audis at the time, one for me and then one for my now wife, then girlfriend. And I remember one day I was literally at the gas station, and I was like, this is literally the last time I can fill up my car. Like, I was like crying in my car at the gas station. I probably looked like a fucking psycho. And I was like, I literally don't have money to fill my car. Like, this is where I'm at. And that sucked. And I didn't want to move back to Jersey because it's just like so defeating. But I got through it, and you know, that was tough. And that was during a time where we weren't really, you know, we were finding our way. We graduated college. We were just entering our career, so we weren't really as close. So I did feel like when you see like entrepreneurs say like it's fucking lonely, yeah, it's fucking lonely. Mm-hmm. It's like I never prior to entrepreneurship like felt like I can go to sit down at lunch or something by myself. Now like being lonely, like I'm never lonely. Being like that doesn't exist. The word lonely doesn't exist. Like being by myself. Okay, great. That means I can get some fucking headspace. Fuck, like, because I get a lot of calls all day from all types of people, which I love, but being in a space where I can be alone physically, oh my gosh, it's like I kind of want to like take a vacation just so I can do that. And even on vacation, I don't get that. So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's a lonely voyage for sure. Embrace it. I don't know.
Fuck.
Yeah.
This is Kenny's tech talk.
Wants to follow that.
Yeah, right. I guess my question to you now. So you went from wealth management and you stumbled upon this course. What attracted you to the course?
I needed to generate.
So
income.
it was sheer out of what's it called?
Creating some type of income for myself.
Yeah.
I didn't have income.
You were backed up against a wall, so you had to do something, and that was just the first thing that came up that you were like, okay, I'm gonna jump on this. Fuck it, let's go.
Yeah, it was just the first thing that I saw, and I took the course, and I was like, I can do this. I understand. I think you have to also have the ability to learn and retain things, but like I just understood that like I could do this. I don't know why. I just knew that I could like I can explore this. I can do this, and then I started to do it more and more, and I mean, now, like, I mean, we're surrounded by people that are, I think, the best in the game at what we do. Like, we've broken our business into 4 different structures, which is what I like to say, strategy, infrastructure, creative, and media buying. Everything in marketing revolves around those 4 things. And I think that we have a team that is such a powerhouse that comes down to if you don't have a strategy, you're missing the boat. But if you don't have infrastructure meaning you don't have a place to drive traffic. You don't have the place to lead consumers to. You're missing the boat. You have something wrong. Creative is becoming increasingly more important with all of these social platforms. And then media buying is a really big thing as well to execute. But, like, yeah, I don't know. I just took the course, and I just felt like I could do it. But I did it because I needed income.
Yeah, I wouldn't say my journey into my career was anywhere as close to your voyage that you had to go through. But I definitely jumped on one of the first job opportunities that came up because I needed money.
Yeah.
Right. And it bared fruit for me, so that was good. But I didn't have to sell my car. I did try to sell cornhole sets for a while there.
Nice.
I went reverse. I went entrepreneurial first because I couldn't find a job.
Taboo charters. That's what it was called,
taboo
right?
charters.
Taboo
Well,
charters.
yeah, kind of. It was a pipe dream.
You do make good
had
cornhole
ideas.
sets, though. I do really like your cornhole
Yeah, I
sets.
mean, hey,
They're
thanks.
nice.
I appreciate it, man. They're built to last. They're overbuilt. What is that?
Yeah.
Is that Yeti?
Yeti.
You
Overbuilt.
can like drive up. They're like a bike jump.
You can. Yeah, they are.
You can drive
Those
a bike
things are
off it.
fucking sturdy. I
They
made
are.
silhouettes too, which is like just tell me what you want. Okay, you want a cool fish? I'll cut it out.
Yeah,
It
but
was
you
cool.
like epoxied them and stuff. They were nice.
Yeah, man. I researched it.
Yeah,
You know, I learned about it, and I tried to figure out, okay, what are people going to actually pay money for? And then I have to build so that way I can actually make profit off of it. So I had a whole cost analysis done and everything. And I was like, fuck, if this is where I'm going to go, I guess I'll keep going into it. But then I also took courses and stuff. I learned a lot in Excel, and then all of a sudden I finally landed a job as I was going through the interview process. And the rest is history. But I did not have to sell my car. But
Yeah.
I don't think so. Like, on the concept of like, how do you figure out like where you want to go? What do you want to do with your life? I had no fucking clue I was going to land in mortgages. By no means. It just happened. Again, it was a job offer. And then I took it and tried to learn as much as I could, and then grew from there. Some people saw some potential, and then all of a sudden I'm more in the data side. I mean, I don't know. It just worked out. So, one of the things that I did in my beginning years, my first boss, she gave me this book to read. I forget who it's by, but it's called Gung Ho. Okay. And essentially what it kind of does is like, you have to have like a why when you're working. Like, why do you do what you do? And so it's like what's the grander thing? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Or what are you doing? It's intrinsic, but also extrinsic. And like the way I kind of saw the book was like, I'm in mortgages. Why do I do what I do? I'm helping people fulfill their American dream. Like, I know I don't get to directly see it, but I know I'm making an impact on someone that just gets their first house. Like, that's huge. And I know I'm a player in that. Mm-hmm. So that's awesome. It's very rewarding. So it helps me find fulfillment in my job. But it was a great book to read in the beginning of my career, because I was just, all right, paycheck. Sweet, got a paycheck. Let's go out drinking with the boys. You know, like, all right, now I have money to go have fun with do some stuff. And then I realized, well, that's not all that is that life can give you. Like, I have to do this 8 hours a fucking day for the rest of my life. You know, I gotta find joy in what I'm doing for these 8 hours as well.
So you don't think about that when you select that job initially.
No way.
You don't think about like, oh, I'm gonna have to do this for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month, 12 months a year. Like, you're like in it, right? And I think, and when I was applying to jobs and I got like job opportunities, everyone was always like, don't look at the number, just do what you want to do. But it's like, okay, well, I need to look at the number. But I think a lot of people look at the number, and that's not always the most important thing. I think the company you're with is important. I think the team you're with, and I think ensuring that it aligns with your personal goals and your values is really important. But it's hard. It's hard if you don't have an income and you're trying to, especially if you have a family and you have other obligations and people to take care of. Yeah. It's difficult. It's very difficult.
I tell my team that phrase you mentioned about we were here 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, right? You spend more time with your colleagues than you do probably your friends, than you do probably your family. From a different angle, though, you know, we find ways to just enjoy each other's company to the very best of our abilities. It's not that everyone is the best of friends. You don't have to be, but you build that respect in the workplace. You build that common goal that you're going to work towards together to achieve. And then that positivity, that environment, I think helps bring them fulfillment with each other, which then allows them to be in hopefully the best mental headspace they can to do their best work to achieve those goals that we've discussed together. Mm-hmm. But it all goes back to, embracing that we're going to be here for a while, like throughout the workforce. If you're going through that and you're pissed off about where you're at in life and you're pissed off with who you work with, well, you're probably not going to put out good effort. You're probably going to put out a shit product. So that's kind of the foundation for me with my group, is we need to change that first, and then let's see, what's the type of effort, what's the type of product that we're putting out there, what's the type of success that we're gaining, because then that momentum starts to build and starts to grow, and then sky's the limit. So it's just interesting.
Did you get that mindset from what our coaches used to tell us? On the
not
field,
sure.
You don't have to be friends, but when you step on it, you got to respect each other. Like off the field, you don't have to be friends. Sorry, because it's kind of a similar mindset. You said we don't have to be friends. You don't have to blah blah blah. But you're gonna respect each other, and you're gonna, work hard together, and you're gonna find common ground, and blah blah blah.
I don't know if I
Have a goal
specifically
together,
got
right? Win a
that
game.
one from our coaches. Like, I'm not keen on them saying
That
that.
wasn't something you pulled from.
I
Okay.
pulled more the old, I'm not going to treat you the same, but I'm going to treat you fair, from our specific coaching staff and leadership team. But I think from football in general over my lifetime, I would say yes, because you have all these different people from
Maybe
different backgrounds.
subconsciously.
Yeah, so yes, in a way, subconsciously. Let's go with that.
We're all looking at you, Johnny.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys sharing. Thanks for sharing. What am I supposed to answer?
Like, how did you fall into your job, find out that you like what you do, blah, 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 blah,
I
blah.
didn't even answer that.
I mean,
Well-
Yeah,
I wanted to work in some type of role where I knew I had to be productive and be in a production where competition and winning had to kind of elevate your performance. So naturally, that is some type of external outreach, sales, marketing, whatever you want to call it. For me, like fulfillment, the reason why I'm very happy and still what I do today is I get the best of both worlds. Internally, I have somewhat of an impact, and then externally, I have somewhat of an impact. And every single day, I know I need to bring a game face, one. I need to be sharp in what's going on in the real world within technology. And you have to be able to be audible, ready to have very, very good conversations with incredibly intelligent individuals around their technology growth, advancement, what they're trying to accomplish. Which for me, like, it goes back to, I think, being naturally curious is where it just keeps you fresh. And being naturally curious and doing those things and exploring areas where you can do something better or betterment of your own career and your betterment of your role, it just keeps you going. And I have that. So I get to help, obviously, these very, very smart, again, credible, much smarter than I am, individuals find a solution. And that's the ultimate rewarding purpose, right? But then internally, you know, every day you get to impact someone. You have the ability to help others achieve what it is that they want to accomplish in their career. And I think every single one of you have talked about at least one thing is you get to have an impact on someone that's working within your organization, your team, etc. So that's why I enjoy what I do. And again, it's one of those things where I don't think I necessarily wanted to find myself in technology, but technology is not going anywhere. It is always changing. It's changing literally every day. And that's what excites me. That's what builds a purpose. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Question to lean into before we end here. When you started your career, you didn't most likely know everything it entailed.
Nope.
But at what point did you realize or did you find the angle where it created your fulfillment, or where do you find your fulfillment in your career?
Where and when? I would say from a fulfillment standpoint, I think it's leaning and having great people around myself. Like the exponential growth that I've had over the years, I can honestly say it's because I've had some amazing individuals push me to limits and push me to an ability that maybe necessarily I didn't know I was capable of. And for that, I'm so grateful, and I can't give more appreciation to those individuals than just the organization I work for. But that's where I think my eyes started to open. I think the ability and the heart and the dedication and the work ethic, it was always there, but I didn't know the full potential I think I maybe had until I had those great people around me pushing me outside of my comfort zone.
That makes sense. Yeah, find someone who's opened their eyes to that.
Yeah. And again, that's why I always try to say it's like surround yourself with different people, you know, and like sometimes the people that maybe you don't see eye to eye always, although that individual may have the biggest impact or more of an impact than maybe you imagined, because they also may say or see things differently. But that's kind of the 50-50 where I am. Like, I get to do both. So I'm no business owner whatsoever, but it's just cool to have an impact on both sides of the business, I guess. Now, with that comes a lot of headache and stress, but I think it takes a certain character. That's why I said a lot of people want to just be an independent contributor, want to stay in that environment, want to stay in that role, and there's nothing wrong with that by any means. So, yeah.
The way you run.
I don't know. I don't have a good answer for this one.
Do you want to think about it longer?
Yeah, honestly. I still might not have that.
I'm a little similar to Johnny, but I think it's more internal than it was the external. And I actually, maybe I'm a little bit more in line with Johnny than I think. But obviously, I think any of us got into a role, we were always going to try to bust our ass, period, right? So like I was, whatever I had, I was going to go all in. So I did that, and then I had people that I don't know what the hell they saw in me, other than probably that hard work or that I was doing things differently that some other people maybe didn't have a skill set for. Because I do attribute a lot of my success to the fucking certification I got in Excel. But I built up further than that because they put trust in me. And then when they put the trust in me to build things that the company needed, and then I delivered, and then they gave me more responsibility. And it kind of is in line with the pushing you, like you kind of said, that do things that I didn't think I could ever do. But I feel like I found a lot of reward in the product after I got to look at it when I was done. So like that was a lot of self-fulfillment. And then it came with growth because of what I was able to put into it. I do think luck was on my side. But the people at my company helped push me into that position of feeling fulfillment because they gave me that trust and it felt good. And then it gradually turned into, I have now an impact at the company. I may be middle to lower management, but they put me in front of executives because they like to hear what I have to say. They like my perspective. They'll challenge me and put me in stuff that they know that I can do and get done, but I don't even know that I can do and get done. With little to no guidance too sometimes. You just have to figure it out. That's how a lot of the learning has happened in my position. So I found a lot of value in that. Plus, I think the company was a family company, and so their values aligned with mine because I feel like I'm a family person. I surround myself with a lot of people, and I like building relationships. Like that's a big part. So I like the people that I work with. Is there struggles and times where we butt heads at work? Sure. But at the end of the day, we get the job done and we work together and then we're on to the next project. And I've seen the company grow with me too. So that's been really cool and fulfilling. So I think that's kind of how I've seen and gotten my fulfillment out of my role. And I still feel like there's a lot of potential for me to grow. And I think that's a large part of it too, is the potential for growth. Because once you feel like I can't go any further than this, at that point, you might stop feeling the fulfillment in the job. Or you have to change your approach. I could see myself, a stopping point could be like executive level, right? I'm not saying I'm going to be an executive, but as I keep growing in management, I can see my angle shifting to now I'm investing more into people. I can see myself loving to be a manager and building other people, doing what they did to me, and maybe using some similar tactics that they used on me. So I can see that, and then seeing their success then would bring me gratitude.
I love that.
Ryan,
Back to me now.
did you get enough time?
Well, yeah. I mean, it is what, as a people leader, it's very similar to what you both said. I think for me with the fulfillment thing, I enjoy the people that I work with on my team. Our current leadership team, we all started within probably 2 to 3 years of each other. So we've been able to grow together. And it's never been, I mean, obviously we've talked a lot, we're ex-athletes, we're competitive, but it was never stepping on each other's toes to get there. Like we would go up against each other for certain roles, and sometimes, one person would get it versus the other. But I just think that collective growth together has been pretty unique in my experience. I also understand it's not going to be the same forever. We've started to have some of those conversations as, we might have to take that risk and go somewhere outside of our comfort zone. So enjoying that journey that we're on currently. And then I think for selfishly, which is horrible to say, but as a prima donna receiver, I can be selfish sometimes. So I think me being able to check off, hit my marks in the first 5 years of what I wanted to achieve and then do that, it just keeps you hungry for more. So I've kind of set new goals for the next 5 years and trying to hit on those. And then we hit on it earlier, but starting to notice people who were at where I was at when I first started and identifying them, and then being that person. You don't have to be on their team. You don't have to be their direct leader, but being that person to help lead them and give them the advice that they wouldn't know or have because they don't have that experience. I'm looking forward to that part of the journey because I'm a goofball, and it's hard for people. It's hard for me to envision people looking up to me as a goofball. Yeah, I don't know. I guess a combination of those things.
It's nice being an advocate for someone.
Yeah.
You know, being their champion. It's a cool thing to be able to do that, because you start out and you can't champion anybody.
Right.
You're starting out, right?
You're trying to
be the champion for that person, right? But yeah, being able to now do the role reversal and be the advocate for them, it's awesome. It's an awesome feeling.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
good stuff, guys.
Awesome. Well, I think we all agree with people like measurable growth-driven roles where they could
Relationships.
create relationships, strive further to individual and team and just larger goals. And being fulfilled is different for every person. So my meaning of fulfillment is different than James's or Johnny's or Ryan's. So, it's different for everybody, but finding your meaning for fulfillment and then aligning it with what you do on a daily basis is something that you have to figure out. And once you do figure it out, you have to analyze how you can execute it on a daily, weekly, monthly, and annual basis. Any last things to add?
I got one last thing. We don't have to hit on this very long, but I do think there is something to be said about chasing after a dream too, right? Like wanting to be a head coach for a major football team or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Trying to become an artist. Those kind of things are also ways you can find fulfillment. It doesn't have to just be like find a job and then like all of a sudden find fulfillment because you're working with a team and goals and blah, blah, blah. You can chase after dreams too and find a lot of satisfaction in that. Like things that you enjoy, try to make work around that. That also works for people too. It's just, I think it's harder maybe because it's kind of an entrepreneurial type thing when you go that route. But I think because we were football players, we gravitate towards team atmospheres, and that's probably why we went corporate and have found some success in that.
Yeah.
But just small little tidbit. I think there's also value in there.
Awesome. Well, keep driving towards yours and go after it. But until then,
The bender continues.